Season is almost here for the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Um, this was going to be a preseason week three recap, but honestly, the Jets Eagles game was very boring for I think everybody. So it's kind of hard to go over that game. Especially now 53-man roster has been revealed. I think we should get into the schedule. I think we should get into the 53-man roster itself. So I'm going to touch base on maybe a couple notes from that game. There's not a whole lot to go over. Um, there wasn't any like true guys that made a difference in that game. There was a lot of guys playing that were fighting for roster spots. A couple that were fighting for just the starting position. So there's not a lot to go over. Kyle McCord played he did play the whole game, which told me that Dorian Thompson Robinson was on the way out, and McCord was only playing for, well, a spot on the team. Since this game, the Eagles traded for Sam Howell. I think that was the right move. Tanner McKee's dealing with a finger injury. We don't really know his timetable. He's probably gonna be a couple weeks, and even when he comes back, I'm not comfortable with the third quarterback position, whether that was McCord or DTR. So I'm very comfortable with Sam Howell. I've seen enough of him when he was on the Commanders, when he was in Seattle. Um, I'm fine with him as the third quarterback option. I mean, there's some teams that would probably want him as a second quarterback option. I'd like him as a third. Um, so yeah, that's really all from the game. One side note though, Ross Tucker for some reason thought Jake Elliott's nickname Jake the Make. That was something new. I don't know what rock he's been living under. I don't know where that rock was located, but I've heard many people call him Jake the Make since his first Super Bowl run. So actually, since the game winner, the 60 plus yarder against the Giants. Earlier in that season or the season before. So I think it was that season. So yeah, Jake the Make, that's been his nickname. Anyways, um, you see me here. We're gonna show the Eagles depth chart. I'm gonna air quote that because when you go to the Eagles website, you go to depth chart. This is what you see. Now, this is an assumption. This isn't the literal depth chart. So this is most likely what you'll see on game days, but it doesn't take into account a lot of different options and different players vying for starting positions and stuff like that. So let's just dive right into the positions, how I feel going into the season. After we're done going over the positions on the whole team, then I'll go through the whole schedule. So, and give you my predictions on what I think the Eagles are going to do this year. So, um, let's just start off with the quarterback position. I mean, we have Jalen, obviously, QB1, the franchise. I love Jalen so much. I'm very confident in him always. He's not going to be the best passer in the world. He's not even going to be the best runner in the world, but he wants to win. That's all that matters to him, and that's the type of quarterback I want to see. Um, Especially in this type of offense. I mean, you have a lot of guys who want to the ball because they know they can be great when they have the ball, and Jalen is someone that can get everybody the ball and be happy. I know AJ Brown's someone that likes to speak up a lot, but at the end of the day, I think AJ's happy with the current state of mind for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, yeah, Jalen's QB1, Tanner McKee QB2. I mean, I just touched base on the quarterback situation, backing up Jalen. Tanner McKee's got a finger injury, so Sam Howell's going to be the backup for us. He's going to be assuming the backup position on Thursday. Um, by the time I'm recording this is Monday. You'll see this on Tuesday. So 2 days before the Eagles Cowboys game. So yeah, I mean, I love the quarterback position. It's one of the deepest quarterback rooms that I've seen the Eagles have probably since I've been watching. I mean, yeah, people will bring up Wentz and Nick Foles, obviously, and Chase Daniel was the QB3. Um, but even then, I mean, in terms of youth, that was something that and lack of injuries. None of these quarterbacks have gotten hurt all that much. Versus the quarterback situation with Carson and Nick, we had an older quarterback in Nick backing up Carson, who was just coming off a torn ACL. We also had him having a back injury the year after. Um, and Chase Daniel did nothing. I mean, Sam Howell has starting quarterback experience, so especially with a bad team at the time that Howell was playing with the Commanders for. So who knows how good Sam Howell could be with type of offense like this. I mean, we saw what Kenny Pickett did last year, and it wasn't that good. I mean, you see Tanner McKee is clearly above and beyond Kenny Pickett. So, yeah, I love the quarterback room. Running backs, I mean, I said it every single video. I said we're going to keep three running backs, even though I would like to keep a four. Saquon's obviously one coming off of 2,000 yards. I mean, at this point, sky's the limit for him. I'd like to see Saquon a little bit more involved in the pass game, get a little bit more receiving yards. He doesn't need to run for 2,000 yards. He doesn't. Um, and yeah, I mean, if he runs for 2,000 again, then he runs for 2,000 again. I know that if something happens to Saquon, I love the backup situation right now with Will Shipley and AJ Dillon. Eagles claimed Audric Estime off waivers. He's going to be on the practice squad. I like Estime. I think if something happened to AJ Dillon, I think he's a very good piece to back up AJ Dillon. But otherwise, I love this running back room. It's another really good running back room, one of the deepest that I've seen for the Eagles since I've been watching. I love Shipley in the receiving game. I can't wait to see what AJ Dillon can do in goal line packages. I can't wait to see what he can do just behind the offensive line in general. This is an offensive line he's never seen before. This is an offensive line that a lot of these players have never seen before. I mean, we're talking about like the Eagles' run of the offensive line since Stoutland's been there is one of the greatest in NFL history. I don't think I'm overestimating their capabilities. I mean, they've been able to get anybody back there and run for 1,000 yards between Miles Sanders and DeAndre Swift. And even before this Nick Sirianni era with Doug Peterson, with Chip Kelly, the one constant has been Jeff Stoutland making anybody look really good behind that offensive line. So, and I'll get to that eventually. The offensive line, getting Ben Van Sumeren in there at fullback, officially a fullback now. Again, he's a guy that like he could go back there and play linebacker still if he needed to, and I liked him at linebacker. I think he's a if we have an issue with linebackers and injuries, I'm very comfortable with Ben Van Sumeren. I call him Ben Van Superman. So I will probably call him that for the rest of his time in Philadelphia. Um, yeah, I can't wait. I want to see more usage of a fullback this year. It really doesn't matter if it's Ben or an extra tight end back there as an H back. It just doesn't matter. We need someone to lead a running back. I'm a firm believer in the fullback. I believe that all the great runners in NFL history have used a fullback in some capacity. So, and all the great run rush offenses in general have used a fullback in some capacity. I mean, you look at how the Ravens have been so successful and they have Patrick Ricard. You look at the 49ers, how successful they've been. They have Kyle Juszczyk. Those are the two best fullbacks in the entire league. And they've been the best two fullbacks in the entire league for the last 10 years. So, and what's the most constant with those two teams? Running the ball. So if we can get Ben more consistently out there at fullback, I don't want to see him in just short yardage situations. If it's first down and 10, just do a simple oh dive play like or outside handoff, get in the fullback in motion, kind of moving over and trying to chip block someone. Like I'm down with that. Wide receiver situation, you don't see it. There we go. I mean, losing Johnny Wilson was huge because he's a huge guy, and I can't believe I'm saying Johnny Wilson to start because this receiving group is really good. Um, I mean, I said it going into last year, it was the most talented receiving room I had ever seen in Philadelphia Eagles history. And if Johnny Wilson was playing this year, I would say this year's is the most talented. I'm still very confident in this group. Johnny Wilson's ability to block was exceptional. He was essentially another tight end out there. He was such a big body. I have like he needed improvements in his receiving game, but his blocking ability, he'll always make an NFL roster if he's able to block that good. I mean, I contemplated should we even move him to tight end because I know last year that was something Nick Sirianni never considered because he wanted to look at him as a wide receiver. So, I mean, it could have been a different story this year, especially with Goddard and Calcaterra on contract years. Kyle Granson comes in. We really don't know how well he's going to play. Um, which and then just going through the receiving room, I mean, AJ Brown's our wide receiver one. He's gonna be the outside guy. I don't want to see him. I don't want to see him. I know he can get out of character sometimes, and he can be an issue sometimes. He'll be reading a book on the sideline, but actually, that's actually calmed him down. And I appreciate him taking the time to do something to get his mind right. And just as simple as reading a book. And I actually appreciate that. That's a really emotionally intelligent person right there. So I have a lot of respect for AJ Brown, more than I think I did this time last year. Um, Devontae's awesome. He's our slot guy. Like, I mean, he can do everything. I love it's so crazy someone his size able to bounce off guys as easy as him. Like there are guys who are like 6'5", 230 that don't bounce off of linemen like Devontae Smith can. He is such an important part of this whole team. He is the clutch factor. He is the cornerstone of the receiving game. AJ Brown may be the better receiver, but I see a 1A, 1B between those two. I know if AJ went down, Devontae can hold his own. I know if Devontae goes down, AJ can hold his own. But he's a glue into the receiving room. He builds a bridge between players, even not in his position group. And I love watching him play every single week. So I can't wait to see him out there. Jahan Dotson's back. Ended the year off great. And very improved compared to the beginning of last season. So I would like to see a wide receiver three get more involved, whether that's Dotson or Darius Cooper or John Mechie. Because between AJ, Devontae, Dallas, Goddard, they're all doing great. Even Saquon out of the backfield sometimes. But if you can get a third receiver to play well, it can open up the whole offense to a level it's never even been seen before. So I hope that's Dotson. I'm a huge fan of Dotson. I've been a big fan of Jahan since Penn State. So I love this receiving room. Darius Cooper, I know if anything happened to AJ Brown, Darius Cooper has shown potential this offseason. Um, he's a big body, so with Johnny Wilson's injury and Darius Cooper, there's uptick in the offseason. I think this was a good opportunity to see Darius Cooper. Um, John Mechie trading for John Mechie a couple about what 2 weeks ago now. I'm curious to see how he is involved in the team, whether he's doing return duties or what, if he's fighting for the wide receiver three position, if we're even going to see him at all on the field. But that's a weapon. If he can get his speed like 80% back, I'm game for John Mechie going deep routes. Um, I love this receiving room. This along with last year, the two most talented wide receiver rooms I've ever seen in Philadelphia Eagles history on paper. Um, it's it's incredible to look at. And the tight end room, Dallas Goedert, obviously Pro Bowl level tight end. I think Goddard has definitely dropped off the last couple of years, especially due to injuries. Um, I would like to see more of him. It's a contract year. He can really make the big bucks this year. He could re-sign if he has a big year and stays healthy. I would love to see him back for next season, and I I would love to see him back next season. But I want to see how good he can do. So I'm it sucks. His injuries suck. Because his playoff run, he was unbelievable in the playoffs. I loved seeing that in the playoffs. I want to see that continue into this year. I don't want to see him get hurt. Calcaterra, I'm not a huge fan of Calcaterra. I think when Goddard was hurt, Calcaterra was serviceable, but we're trying to win a Super Bowl. I don't know how this team would have functioned with Calcaterra as the starter throughout the whole end of the season. So. I mean, Goddard's so good in the blocking game. Calcaterra's just okay at stuff. He's also in a contract year. I mean, you could see Kyle and Granson come in and maybe beat out Calcaterra at some point. I think Granson's got some potential. I mean, as a tight end three, he's a solid tight end three. And yeah, I think he could beat out Calcaterra for that two spot. But tight end room is really, really good. Really, I mean, there's not much else I can say about this tight end room. I mean, it's a good tight end room. Everybody's just got to stay healthy. That's really it. Because my feeling is if Goddard gets hurt one more time, I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles made a trade for another tight end in a contract year. Um, because. I mean, they would probably be fed up with it. I mean, injuries suck at the end of the day, yes, but you have to think from a business standpoint at that point and a football mind standpoint that you have an injured tight end who's not getting any younger. And like, do you want to try and see if another tight end out there that can do as good or if not better than Goddard? Because I think they thought they had that with Calcaterra, and I don't think we have that. So tight end room is probably the biggest question mark in the whole offense. Really. So going to the offense, the best offensive line in football. I don't think it's frankly very close. I mean, we're talking a historic level offensive line for over 10 years. Well before even before Lane Johnson, this offensive line under Stoutland has flourished. It has been exceptional. So Jordan Mailata at left tackle. I mean, Pro Football Focus graded if you even like grades. I'm personally don't care for grades, but they graded Mailata as the best player overall in football last year. That's very interesting considering the one game Mailata didn't play. Saquon went for 200 plus against the Rams. So, um, I love Jordan Mailata. Dude's awesome. He's so cool. He's one of those guys on this team that he would just be fun to be around. I mean, this dude's got an amazing voice. Like if he wanted to quit football and go start singing, he probably could. He's great at everything that he does. Yeah, I love Jordan Mailata. I want to see him get a run one of these days because I mean, bring that rugby play in. I mean, he played rugby before football, so. Just get him one little carry here and there on the goal line. That's all I need. We got Lane on the right side. Lane's obviously, in my opinion, he's a future Hall of Fame name tackle. Um, Possible things change from that just for a multitude of reasons, but that's a whole different conversation. But we're talking about one of the greatest right tackles this century. So, and one of the most athletic tackles in NFL history. He's getting up there in age, but he has not fallen off yet. He's looked really good. He's an anchor to this whole offense without Lane. The entire offense doesn't run as smoothly, which is why we ended up going and drafting a bunch of tackles. We traded for Fred Johnson, which I will get to that. Fred's going to be backing up Jordan. Um, I mean, Cameron Williams looked really good in the preseason, so I can't wait to see if Cameron Williams can be the guy to replace Lane in the future. Um, But otherwise, I mean, we're talking about the best tackle duo in the entire NFL, point blank period. Interior offensive line, maybe the biggest question on the offensive line is right guard. Tyler Steen is the right guard now. Getting back to that Rams game, the first Rams game, when Mailata was out and Becton was hurt, Tyler Steen came in, his only game, and Saquon went and ran for 200 plus yards. So, yeah, Tyler Steen, I'm completely I knew going into the preseason he's our starting right guard. For some reason there was some question and that first preseason game made it pretty clear and obvious Tyler Steen is the starting right guard. Yeah, I can't wait to see a full season under Steen. Left guard Landon Dickerson. Now Dickerson's coming back from an injury. I don't know if he's gonna be ready week one. I mean, he didn't practice Monday. Um, so it might be an indication he's not going to be playing. I'm okay. I'm okay with him not playing. I mean, I'd rather I know AJ Brown's dealing with a hamstring injury and he says he's playing. Um, but I mean, if they want, I'm okay if they can't play week one and like rest your body for week two and the rest of the season. So. If Landon Dickerson can't go, I'm okay with like Brett Toth, Matt Pryor, Drew Kendall even playing some left guard or Fred Johnson. I mean, pretty much anybody on the offensive line. Stoutland can get anyone to play any position. Uh, Speaking of Landon, just in generally speaking about Landon Dickerson, we're talking about one of the best guards in football, Pro Bowl guard. Really an anchor on the interior offensive line. He's clearly the best interior offensive lineman on the team. Um, he can also play center. We saw in the conference championship game, Jurgens didn't start the game. He was healthy, but didn't start because of the injury. Dickerson played center, played really well. I mean, he played really well. Dickerson got hurt. Jurgens came in. One of the best center situations that I've ever seen. Um, it's awesome. It's awesome to see Landon Dickerson so versatile. Um, Now I know if anything happens to Jurgens, Dickerson can definitely play center. And even then, we drafted Drew Kendall. Let's just slide over to center anyways. Cam Jurgens, really good center. I think I want to see a better year from him. I thought he had a good year. I want to see him take a leap. I think we could be looking at, I want to see that he is one of the best centers in football. I can't call Cam Jurgens that yet. Right now he's a really good center. I have not many negative complaints to say about Jurgens. He's great in pulling. I mean, he's doing a great job replacing one of the greatest Eagles of all time in Jason Kelsey. Um, he's doing exactly what we need him to do, but I want to see him take the leap because if he takes the leap, then the offensive line can be even better, which is incredible to even say. Um, Jurgens, I mean, I don't know how long he's got left on his contract. He might have a year or two left on his, I think he might have 2 years left on his contract. So I mean, if he doesn't play well, then we got Drew Kendall from Boston College, Willie Lampkin from UNC. Lampkin is very small. He's 5'11". I mean, Jason Kelsey was considered undersized and they're about the same weight, but Kelsey was 6'3", Lampkin's 5'11". Now, this dude can blow over people. Like this dude's probably going to be a great fullback if he wanted to. I can't wait to see Willie Lampkin get some time now. I know he's on here. He's listed as a guard. He's center guard. The Rams had him at center. He's on the IR right now, I believe. So we'll see how that works. Otherwise, I love the center situation right now. If something happens to Jurgens, we got a young guy in Drew Kendall who did solid, um, and Willie Lampkin when he's healthy. So Brett Toth has taken snaps at center as well. I mean, we have five guys on the roster that can go and snap the ball if we need to. So yeah, traded for Fred Johnson. I mean, he's backing up Jordan Mailata. Fred Johnson, when he came in last year, was very good. actually really glad we traded back for him. He went and signed with the Jaguars. Eagles were like, no, we're gonna go. We'll just sign Fred. Um, I mean, he's the best backup on the whole team right now. Um, and then the right tackle position, Cameron Williams, young guy from Texas. He slid in the draft. Eagles drafted two tackles, Miles Hinton, who is on the IR, I'm pretty sure, or he's on the practice squad. He's one of the two. Um, but Cameron Hinton did not have a good preseason. Cameron Williams did. So it's obvious Cameron Williams is the backup at right tackle. I'm very curious to see how well he can play if something happens to Lane. I always have to think worst case scenario with the team this deep, especially winning the Super Bowl. I mean, I've seen the Eagles win the Super Bowl with Nick Foles. You have to look at depth. If you don't have depth, the odds of you making the Super Bowl are very low. So Brett Toth is I mean, on here it says Brett Toth's gonna be playing left guard. I don't really know who the left guard's gonna be on Thursday. If it's Brett Toth, I'm not a huge fan of Brett Toth or Matt Pryor. If I had a choice, it would probably be Matt Pryor. I would also just love to see one of these young guys go and play left guard. I would also like to just see if Fred Johnson could play left guard. Um, but I mean, that's our backup situation. I love this offensive line and this offense in general. Um, we're going to be under a new offense coordinator this year. From in the preseason, like I was saying in the last few games, the play calling has been a lot better than I've ever seen in any preseason game. Most of the time, I get frustrated with the play calling because most of the time it's simplified in the preseason. If this is what is simplified, this is an incredible play calling, and I can't wait to see this year. But that's what can hold back this whole team is play calling. I mean, we saw this 2 years ago. So, I mean, that's what I'm hoping for is good play calling. I don't, if, I mean, with great play calling, we're going to see an offense we've never seen before and the best offense we've seen the Eagles ever have. But with bad play calling, it can deteriorate the entire offense. Like I don't want to see Sirianni out there uh, calling plays at all. So, yeah, this is I mean, this is the offense. I love this offense. I mean, clearly this offense should be top five. At best, at best this is the number one offense. At worst, I mean, with play calling, you can be the worst offense in the league. But I mean, the ceiling should be one. The floor should be top 12. So, I mean, this is a great offense. I mean, there's not a lot of teams that can say they have all pros at pretty much every layer of the entire offense. So now we'll go to the defense, led by defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. I don't need to talk too much about him. We're talking about one of the best defensive coordinators in the whole league. Um, and he is just awesome. So our edge rusher situation, we got Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt. Both of them didn't play in the preseason, so it's pretty obvious those are the two starting edge rushers. I know we signed Joshua Uchi, Azeez Ojulari, and Agbo Okoronkwo. These are new guys. Hopefully, get rotation in. A lot of potential from Uchi and Ojulari. They've been on bad teams or just have been hurt or just have been in a really deep room. We rotate our edge rushers. We rotate our whole D line. We've been doing that for 8 years now. Um, well, even before Doug Peterson. So, I mean, well, probably since Doug Peterson, but a little bit before. Um, Seeing this rotation, I mean, I want to see what Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt can do as starters. They really weren't starters at all last year. Um, until the end of the season. I mean, getting them reps, see if they can be the players that they were at the end of the playoff run last year into the Super Bowl. Because if they can be, I mean, we could be talking about an all-pro season for Nolan Smith. We could be talking about a Pro Bowl season for Jalen Hunt. But even then, Azeez Ojulari, I mean, he's always shown potential, even with the Giants. Joshua Uchi with the Chiefs. Both those guys have shown potential, especially in a rotational D line. But this is a pure rotational D line, so they will be getting reps. And Agbo Okoronkwo, I mean, we really didn't even see much about him in the preseason, so I'm curious to see how he fits into the grand scheme of things. Interior defensive line, Jalen Carter's, I mean, he's the best defensive player on the whole team. I mean, he's one of the best players in the whole team in general. I mean, this guy's a freak. He's a freak of nature. He's a force to be reckoned with. He can go and play the edge. He can play nose. He can play defensive defensive tackle. He can play anywhere. I mean, I know what Jalen's going to be doing week in, week out. I mean, I would like maybe I'd like to see him have an Aaron Donald type season, maybe get 20 sacks. But even then, if he doesn't, that means the rest of the D line is doing their job as well. So Jordan Davis is in a contract year. Um, I mean, this is it. I mean, Jordan Davis is our nose tackle. I want a year. He's slimmed up going into the season. He has said that's his one issue has been staying in shape. And I think every year he's gotten better. So if he can have a Pro Bowl year, I'm all for extending him. But I mean, if he has another year like he did last year and Ty Robinson maybe picks it up, I'd be like, I love Jordan Davis. I think he's awesome. I think he's incredible. He's an incredible athlete. Um, but he has so much potential. Him slimming down, I'm curious. I didn't really want him to slim down because I loved his power on the interior defensive line. And it's also incredible to see just how different the run defense is when he's not on the field. Because when he's on the field, he is just clogs the hole. So because he's a huge dude. So that's why I didn't really want him to lose all that much weight. But I'm I'm really happy for him. I want to see him have a big year this year. Moro Ojomo, he had a great run last year, great Super Bowl. Um, I've never been a fan of Moro Ojomo, but up until last play postseason, I'm I'm curious to see how he fits into being the second defensive lineman. I know Marlon Tuipulotu is out on the free agency, so if something happens or they're not impressed with the D line, I know what Tuipulotu can do. I was mad that we got rid of him last year, but I understand why we got rid of him last year. So want to see Mora Ojimo probably step up and be that really good third defensive tackle because he's got shoes to fill with Milton Williams leaving. But that third defensive tackle spot, I feel like it's always been really good for under Sirianni. So then backups, Gabe Hall, Byron Young. They've been guys that the coaching staff clearly likes. I haven't seen a whole ton from those two. Ty Robinson looks really good. I'm very curious to see how well he will do. He's a huge guy. He was someone that I remember during our live stream. There was a lot of other people talking about him, and I was like, "Oh, he looks pretty good." I didn't think the Eagles would get him, and yeah, the Eagles went and got him. So, um, maybe Ty Robinson can have a late season run that someone like Moro Ojomo or Jalen Hunt or Nolan Smith had. So we'll go to the second level with Zach Bond obviously leading the linebackers. Now, Nakobe Dean is obviously hurt. He's gonna be on the pup list, or IR pup list. I don't remember. He's not gonna be playing to start the year. I'm pretty sure that's the pup list. Um, so Zach Bond. So we're looking at the linebacker two between Jeremiah Trotter Jr. and Jahad Campbell. Um, I want to see Trotter start the year. I just want to see what Trotter can do. I know Campbell looks like a freak of nature. I think if you were to tell me point blank who had the better preseason, it was definitely Campbell. But Trotter was definitely more set in his play. Campbell looked very all over the place in a good way, in a really good way. I mean, he was the Swiss Army knife on the defense. He was playing at edge. He was playing off ball. He looked incredible. But yeah, I want to see Trotter start the year. Even Smile Mondin Jr. played really well to finish the preseason. I like this linebacker room. I mean, compared to last year, I thought last year going into the season, I was like, I'm very worried about the linebacker position. This year, I like the linebacker position a lot. So, yeah, I love this linebacker position. Um, Especially in Vic Fangio's defense, it's like there's always a linebacker who does really well, and that's Zach Bond. And I know if Zach Bond, something happens to Zach Bond, I think Jahad Campbell can fit that position really well. So, yeah, there's our linebacker position. And then the third level we have we'll go to the cornerback position. Quinyon Mitchell's obviously are going to be our corner one. Cooper DeJean is playing nickel, but I've seen him play safety in camp. In and it seems like in our base defense without the slot, Cooper's going to be playing up top next to Reed Blankenship. And when we go to our three cornerback sets into our nickel defense, Cooper DeJean's going to be playing the slot, playing the nickel position. Out and the biggest question on the entire defense is that outside cornerback position because I don't think Adoree Jackson played very well. I don't even I can't believe he made the team. That's how I feel about Adoree Jackson. Jacorian Bennett in very small playing time played really well. I mean, right now I'm giving the edge to Jacorian Bennett. And Keely Ringo, he looks okay when he's playing against his competition level, but when he's playing against someone like Jamar Chase, it's hard. He's definitely not on that level. Um, but yeah, that's the cornerback room. Mac McWilliams is going to be back in, also going to be a corner. He's playing nickel, backup nickel to Cooper. I thought McWilliams was okay. Uh, yeah, I mean, that's the biggest question is that outside corner. That is the worst part on the entire team right now is trying to figure that out. Jacorian Bennett can play as good as he did last year. That's all I ask of him. Just play as good as you did last year. Um, yeah, the cornerback room. I mean, I know if something happens to Quinyon Mitchell, that's going to be the biggest question mark I think on the entire team. Before that, it was Reed Blankenship, but with the emergence of Sidney Brown and Drew Makuba playing so well, I know that Sidney Brown and Drew Makuba can play out there if something happens to Reed, and Cooper DeJean can too. So it's just a big question on depth at cornerback position. Hopefully Vic Fangio's scheme can fit well to one of these corners that they have a breakout year. Which speaking of safety position, yeah, Reed Blankenship's obviously a star. He's a captain too, and he needs a contract. I mean, I think he's pretty much locked up to be the Eagles safety, unless he gets hurt. I think he's locked up. Sidney Brown, Drew Makuba. Drew Makuba was playing out of his mind. He's not staying healthy, and that's an issue. That's where Sidney Brown's going to be starting week one. But I love both these two safeties. Before the preseason, I was saying we need to sign Justin Simmons. Justin Simmons is still on the market to the point that like if one of these safeties struggle, I mean we could still pick him up. But I like our safety room right now. Defensively, yeah, I mean the ceiling for this defense. I mean last year they were number one in scoring or number one in yards. I was confused the two. Um, So ceiling is obviously number one. Floor, I mean, maybe top 20. It's possible that maybe that other cornerback position ends up being an issue, an extreme issue. If injuries happen, I mean, again, at the cornerback position, if an injury or two happen, we could be looking at the secondary being a huge issue for this team. Um, Otherwise, I love the edge rusher positions, love the depth at linebacker, love the depth in the front seven. That's really it. It's the depth at the secondary that I have an issue with. So, at worst, top 20, at best, number one. Um, and then we're looking at special teams, not a whole lot to look at. Braden Mann's going to be punting. He did great last year. Jake Elliott is obviously kicker. He had a bad year last year, but I'm hoping he steps up because I mean he had a better preseason than he had a whole season last year. So hopefully he does better. Charlie Hewitt is going to be our new long snapper. So no Rick Lovato. We got Charlie Hewitt. Charlie Hewitt has been a really good long snapper, so I'm curious to see how well he will do. If there's any negative that we had from the Super Bowl, it was the long snapper. Lovato had a bad game in the Super Bowl, and we shouldn't have to worry about that in the Super Bowl from a long snapper. So getting Charlie Hewitt, we'll see how well he does. All you just need to be serviceable. That's all you gotta do, buddy. Return specialist, I mean, we're not even guaranteed that either of these two are going to be returning. It could be John Mechie. It could be really anyone. In fact, I think there's a possibility Mechie ends up being the returner. Um, but yeah, here this is the whole team. Um, I mean, we'll look at the schedule. Let's do a schedule prediction. Um, so I I wouldn't say it's going to be a cakewalk against the Cowboys. It's an in division rivalry game. You're going to hear me say that a lot. With all division rivalry games, you could be the best team in the world and you could be the worst. You could be the best team in the league and the worst team in the league. And if you're in the same division, there's a possibility that that worst team ends up winning. That's just how every division rivalry game works. So you have the Cowboys Eagles week one. I at home, this should be a win for the Eagles. I wouldn't be shocked if they end up coming out struggling, but again, division rivalry, rusty. Everybody's gonna be rusty on both teams, but especially no Micah Parsons for the Cowboys. They lose to Marcus Lawrence in the in free agency. Um, Mozzie Smith was their starting interior defensive tackle, but they go and add Kenny Clark. Kenny Clark's a pretty good defensive tackle, but against the Eagles in the playoffs, he struggled. So, I mean, there's no the Eagles. They just need to rely on the run game. I'm gonna give the Eagles a win here. Um, this schedule is gonna be tough. Then next week you get Eagles Chiefs in Kansas City. Last time the Eagles played the Chiefs in Kansas City, it was a pretty close game, but the Eagles came out on top. I think the Eagles are a better team than they were then. I think the Chiefs are maybe slightly worse than they were back then. Um, I I don't want to give the Eagles an easy win here. Um, I also don't want, I think early on I think the Chiefs can I think the Chiefs could win this too. Um, but it's like the Eagles just dominated that Super Bowl so much that I I don't think the Chiefs really did too much to improve upon that. I could be wrong. But right now I'm going to give the Eagles a win. I think they go 2-0 to start the year. Eagles Rams. First game it was just complete domination. Second game, we were playing in the snow, and what we thought was going to be the Eagles storm steamrolling after that long Saquon run. Uh, Defense ended up keeping the Rams into the game, so that was a close game. Again, that was in the snow. We'll see how that plays out this time. Um, Stafford's been hurt with the back injury. I don't know how well he's going to play to start the year. I mean, you got Devontae Adams. I don't know in terms of you got to cover Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I think Quinyon can do a good job. I think Quinyon can do a good job against Puka. That means Devontae and Cooper DeJean. I think DeJean would probably have a tough time. Roles reverse. I would love to see Devontae on Quinyon and Cooper on Puka. But when it comes down to the Rams offense versus the Eagles defense, I think that's going to be what ends up being the reason this game ends up going with one side or the other. Because I think the Rams defense, as good as I think they are in the front seven, I think the secondary is where they have issues. And it's funny because Saquon just has gone off against the Rams both times last year. So I think the Eagles are going to end up winning this game 3-0. that's a tough task. This is where have the Eagles losing their first game against the Bucks. They always seem to struggle against the Bucks, especially in Tampa. I feel like they're always playing in Tampa against the Bucks. But yeah, this is where I have the Eagles losing their first game against the Bucks. It just happens. It always happens against the Bucks. Um, Next game against the Broncos. Broncos, I think, are going to be a really good team this year. Bo Nixon's second year receiving core is young, talented. Defensively, they have a very good defense. This game could be very low scoring, and it's going to come down to who's not going to turn the ball over. And this has been the toughest game in my opinion on the entire schedule. Because the Broncos can be a wild card, not in a sense of where they're going to be at in the playoffs, but they're just a team that could beat anyone, but then lose to anyone. So, I mean, right now I have them going 3-1. Um, in Philadelphia, I'll give the Eagles a win. I think we'll go 4-1 to start the year. Um, Eagles Giants. Again, you can't really ignore this because this is a division rivalry game. But every time the Eagles play the Giants, it just feels like, especially with Saquon, it just feels like a different that the Eagles are just miles and miles ahead of the Giants. So like I have the Eagles winning both the games this year, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Eagles lost one of those games. So um, we're gonna get the win here. Eagles Vikings at Minnesota. I think Minnesota is a really good team. Everybody keeps saying, well, JJ McCarthy, and they completely ignore the fact that this team consists of Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, who Jordan Mason had a really good year last year. Aaron Jones is a really good running back, one of the best running backs since he's entered the league. You're talking about Justin Jefferson, one of the best receivers in the league. Jordan Addison is suspended, but when Jordan Addison comes back, I mean, you saw what Jordan Addison did last year. He's a really good wide receiver too. Adam Thielen, who is historically one of the best Vikings receivers of all time. He's going to be going on a run last year. If he's your wide receiver three, that's incredible. TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the whole league. Offensive line got revamped. Um, that's what they focused on this offseason, which I'm glad if you're going to give it like that's your focus. You need to focus on the offensive line. You know who every single other position is. Focus on the offensive line. That's what they did. They have the weapons for JJ McCarthy. Defensively, the Vikings have a very good defense. They have a very good scheme with Flores. Brian Flores is a really good defensive coordinator. I think he should be a head coach after this season. Um, I mean, they have four Pro Bowl defensive linemen. I mean, they traded Harrison Phillips, which was a weird trade, your nose tackle, but you have two interior linemen and two edge rushers who are Pro Bowlers. Just an incredible lineup. You have Ivan Pace Jr. at linebacker. I mean, this is a really, really, really good team. And the special teams unit, Will Reichert had a solid year. Um, I mean, uh, everybody's saying, well, they have JJ McCarthy. Did we not see Sam Darnold for some reason have a really good year and end up signing a big contract with the Seahawks? I think we all saw that. Um, we're talking about Kevin O'Connell, who just won head coach of the year. I mean, I have the Vikings winning 10 plus games, most definitely. Um, JJ McCarthy does not need to go out and do what Sam Darnold did last year. He just needs to play average. That's all. If he plays like Brock Purdy did last year, but with the talent the Vikings have, they definitely can win 11 plus games. Um, and in Minnesota, I do have this as a loss for the Eagles. Even though the Eagles have done very well against the Vikings as of late, I do have this as a loss. I think this is going to be an issue. I think the Vikings are a very different team than the past few times that the Eagles have played them. So this is going to be a learning experience for a lot of players on the Eagles, especially the young guys. So as of now, before the Vikings game, we're looking at 3-1, 4, 5-2 to start the year. 5-2 to start the year. Again, like I said, I think we sweep the Giants at 6-2. Eagles Packers in Green Bay. This is going to be another tough matchup. Um, I think the Packers are built in a way that they could beat the Eagles. I said that going into last year, into the playoff game. I think the Packers are a well-equipped team to beat the Eagles. Um, in fact, I'm going to give the Eagles a loss here. I think I'm going to give them a loss here. So that's three losses, three, six, nine, 6-3 to start the year. So yeah, 6-3 to start the year. Another tough game you're playing at home versus Detroit. I think Detroit's going to take a step back this year. And it's in Philadelphia. I think this is going to be a really good game, but I have the Eagles winning. I think defensively, the Eagles can throw off Jared Goff off his game. So 7-3. Eagles at Cowboys. I, I if Micah Parsons was still on this team, I think I would think very differently. But the Cowboys are kind of going the route of this how the Bengals whole team looks, but with worse players. Now I think CeeDee Lamb is one of the best receivers in all of football. And I think George Pickens is one of the best wide receiver twos in all of football. I mean, he's a wide receiver one on most teams, but no run game. Defense doesn't look very good. Even I mean, you can get Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland in, but who's going to be stopping the run? I mean, the one issue in the last couple Cowboys games for the Cowboys has been the fact that the Eagles' offensive line just completely dominates the Cowboys' defensive line, and that's when they had Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence. So I have the Eagles sweeping the Cowboys too. Um, so 7-3. What is that? 8-3. Yeah, 8-3. Um, Bears at Eagles, not a game to ignore. You have Ben Johnson, who's a really bright-minded offense coordinator going to Chicago. The offense looks different. I think if Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson can connect together, Caleb Williams could be one of the best quarterbacks of all time. With his skill set, he's one of the best skill sets among any quarterback ever. And just his skill, I'm not talking about like, is he one of the best? No. I mean, he's able to throw from different angles. He's able to run really well. He's able to create plays behind his back. Like it's incredible. Issue for the Bears is going to be can the defense stop the Eagles, and I don't think they can. So I have the Eagles winning this game. So that's what 9-3. Yeah, 9-3 to start the year. Eagles at Chargers again, not a game to ignore. Chargers have a very good defense. We're talking about the best scoring defense, the best yardage defense going up against one another. It's going to be who can be more efficient. I think the Chargers are a more efficient offense. Um, so I think I'm going to give the Chargers a win here. Even though every time the Eagles play the Chargers, the Eagles have dominated the Chargers. I think Harbaugh changes that personally. So that's 9-4. Yeah, 9-4. Eagles Raiders. I'm gonna give the Eagles one against the Raiders. So 10-4. I think the Eagles split both Commanders games. So 11-5. And then the Eagles Bills is really the only game that I'm intrigued by. Um, this is an interesting matchup. I don't. I think the Bills defense struggles very well. Against the Eagles, I mean, that's one thing. If you've watched anything Jason has said, that's the one issue he's had is the defense. I just don't know how they're going to be able to stop anyone on the Eagles offense. Like, I think even if Tanner McKee was out there, I think the offense would still produce really well. I think even if you substituted Saquon out, keep Jalen in, and just do Shipley and AJ Dillon, I think the offense is still going to do really well. So, I mean, the Bills' offense is going to do well against the Eagles' defense, but I don't think it will be enough. And I think I'm going to give the Eagles a win here. So at the end of the day, I have the Eagles going 12-5, um, which is a really good record. We went what 14-3 last year. Um, so it's 2 games worse. I mean, I think this is a tough schedule to begin the year and to end the year, having 2 Commanders games and a Bills game. That 3 game stretch there. It's not going to be an easy task, but if the Eagles went 12-5 this year, I'd be happy because that's a clear playoff berth. You're probably fighting the Commanders for the division, but I think the Commanders have a tough enough schedule that there's a chance they don't get to 12 wins. There's a chance they don't get to 11 wins. I still think the Commanders make the playoffs. But yeah, I'm optimistic. I think 12-5 is what I'm looking at for the Eagles. Um, I just want a healthy season. That's all. I think last year we had a healthy season. Well, I wouldn't even say it was really healthy. I think there was a lot of injury. Everybody was hurt at some point, outside of Saquon. But even then, Saquon in a couple games got dinged up here and there. Um, yeah, I want a healthy season. I also want just good referee play, and not seeing phantom fumbles. Because Saquon's only fumble loss was one which his knee was down and he was touched, so that was interesting. But yeah, I have the Eagles going 12-5. I love this team. I think the chances of I don't like to talk about repeating. This is a brand new season. Um, I think the Eagles have a really good shot at going to the Super Bowl this year. Um, Especially in the NFC. There's gonna be some tough teams here and there. But I love the Eagles odds this year, and I think this is a really good team. So I'm really happy. And playing the Cowboys, I mean, I kind of touched base on the Cowboys already, especially in Philadelphia. I wouldn't be shocked if the Cowboys end up winning just because, I mean, it's starting the year off. Eagles have struggled to start the year last year, and you just got to get that fight back. That was one thing. I mean, the struggle at the beginning of the year last year defined the whole season for them because they never wanted to experience that again. And hopefully that continues in this year and doesn't reset. So with that being said, Eagles play on Thursday night against the Cowboys. Eagles are gonna raise the banner. And I can't wait for this season. So go Birds, and I will see you next week.